Hi there, welcome to this month's aha moment. This month I'm speaking on cultivating positivity bias. Now, perhaps you've heard of negativity bias or negativity effect. It is a cognitive bias that says we tend to focus on, remember, and amplify adverse or negative events in our lives over the positive events. And we don't have to look far to know that that is true. Let's just think about our news cycle. Over 90% of our news is focused on negativity. And when I was reading about it, there was an example that was used that I thought really illuminated it. And it was about a hiker who goes on this beautiful hike, and just the scenery is breathtaking. And he encounters a snake. Now, when he goes back to tell the story, he is more likely to focus on when he encountered the snake than tell the story about the beautiful views of his hike. That's negativity bias. And I had an aha that I do the same thing. I think we all do, actually, but I do it with your aha life. And it really resonated with me. Although I'm telling stories and giving uplift, and really hoping to share how people can live their best lives, a lot of times the events that I'm using to get there are negative events, are adverse events that have happened in my life or another person's life. For example, losing a loved one, going through a divorce, losing a job, or comparing yourself to another such that it harms your self-esteem. All negativity bias. And I thought, I want to be different. I want to be more positive. And so I commit that to you. But there's a reason for it as well. Whether we focus on negative or positive, it has an impact on how we think, how we make decisions, how we behave, and how we interact with others. So if it's going to impact you, if it's going to impact me, then it makes sense that we want to lean more into positivity bias. But there are also some health benefits. When we lean into positivity bias, we have a greater sense of well-being, particularly emotional well-being. And we also improve our overall health. And I can imagine because it reduces stress, not only in our minds, but in our bodies. So having a positivity bias is good for us. And we've heard medical stories about patients who are more positive tend to heal faster, all of those things. And I also learned through my reading that as we get older, we do prefer more positivity. So it's all good as we are leaning toward that. But I think we don't do it enough. And so I thought about what are ways in which we can cultivate positivity bias. And there are at least 3 ways. One is mindfulness. Mindfulness, as you know, is training our minds to be present and to pay attention to. In this case, pay attention to the positive events, the positive happenings in our lives. Secondly, is a gratitude practice. Even if there are things that are going on that are not as favorable, there's always something to be grateful for. And being grateful and practicing gratitude leans us toward a positivity bias. Affirmations is another way. Affirming that which is strong and good in our lives. And then take the example of the hiker. Attaching something important to a memory can sustain that memory over time. So for example, let's say the hiker went on a hike for his birthday. And so his birthday and this beautiful hike, he might actually recount that story in a different way and say, on my birthday, I went on this hike and it was so beautiful. And he may either leave out totally that he saw a snake, or he may say, oh yeah, I saw a snake, but let me tell you about the views that I saw that day. That is positivity bias, and it is attaching something that is meaningful and important to that event in his life that will sustain that positive memory over time. So, those are just some ways in which we can start to practice and cultivate positivity bias. So, before I go, I want to share something that I read. It's a scripture from the Bible. As I was thinking about positivity bias, this scripture came to mind for me, and it's from Philippians 4:8. So, I want to read it to you really quickly. It says, "Whatever is true, noble, right, pure, lovely, admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think on those things." Again, there's a reason for it. It's not just cutesy to think positively, and it's not woo-woo. It is, again, overall well-being is at stake here. Your overall health, reducing stress in your life. So I know that I commit to practicing more positivity bias and recounting stories that come from positive experiences in more of my writing. So that's what I want to share with you, and I hope that you will do the same. Let's do this together. I wish you more joy, more purpose, and more fulfillment, and I'll be back next month with another aha moment.